Alright guys, welcome back to the channel. Welcome if you're new. Today we have more PlayStation news, rumors, and leaks to go over and cover. So we're just going to dive right into these topics here, starting with the Returnal PC launch. Sony has come out and confirmed it's going to be launching on February 15th. There's a whole blog post up that I will have linked down below that talks about all of the PC features as well as the requirements. And something that people are pointing out with Returnal's PC requirements, and the same can actually be said for Forspoken from Square Enix, both of these games being PlayStation 5 exclusives that are not cross-gen, is apparently the requirements are pretty high. People are actually kind of surprised at, how demanding these games seemingly are to just kind of not necessarily run it at the minimum, but, at the recommended and certainly above that. So, we'll have to see if this is a trend that continues with these PlayStation 5 games that end up going to PC. Some people are saying that it's simply due to poor optimization. I honestly couldn't tell you, but just something we might want to keep an eye on. But let me know if you're planning on playing Returnal on PC when it launches on February 15th. Moving to the next topic, though, we are talking about a new Sackboy game that is apparently getting ready to release for mobile. It's called Ultimate Sackboy. This is reading from PlayStation Lifestyle, where they say Ultimate Sackboy, the next PlayStation mobile game, is making a dash toward our phones. The release date for this new free-to-play running game is February 21st for iOS and Android, with pre-registration already available through the Google Play Store. Ultimate Sackboy is a 3D runner in a similar vein to Sonic Dash that will see the PlayStation mascot sprint down a 3-lane obstacle course. From the official description for Ultimate Sackboy, the game will have you slide, dodge, and weave through courses that feature classic Sackboy enemies. You'll also need to collect bubbles if you want to earn a better score than your competitors. Progression involves unlocking more tiers, which will allow Sackboy to compete on more tracks. The mobile game will also have daily duels where you can take on rivals in head-to-head contests. It's unclear how this will work exactly, but it sounds like passive PvP, with players putting their high scores on a leaderboard. Either way, you can earn coins and additional prizes for daily participation in the mode. On the less exciting side, though, it looks like Sackboy's customization options will be where most of the monetization will come from. Upgrading your clothing will actually earn you a higher score, so there's the danger that the game might become pay to win through this mechanic. It will also have a season pass, which may or may not be free, where you can grab new costumes and medals. It's also worth noting that while Sackboy Ultimate will be coming to iOS and Android, there's a small possibility that it will come to PS5 and PS4 later on. And in 2014, a game called Run Sackboy Run released on mobile platforms first before launching on the Vita 2015. So, yeah, I mean, here you go. Here is a, PlayStation mobile effort that we're seeing. I will just be honest and upfront. I have zero interest in this. One thing I will say, though, is it's interesting to me that Sony doesn't seem to be promoting this anywhere that I can see. Like, I didn't see it on the official PlayStation YouTube channel or the Twitter or anything like that. I don't know if this is something that's intentional, but here you go. Let me know if it's something you're planning on checking out. Moving on from that, we have some really good news for PlayStation VR2. This is reading from WCCF Tech. They say PlayStation VR2 launches in just a bit over a month, and today Sony revealed the new headset's full launch window lineup of over 35 games. Sony isn't being overgenerous with the launch window definition here either. These are games that will be available on day one when PSVR2 launches in February until the end of March. Headliners include GT7, Resident Evil Village, Horizon Call of the Mountain, and the Dark Pictures Switchback, as well as newly announced games like Res Infinite, Tetris Effect, and Pavlov VR. And so, I will have this article linked down below. They have every single game listed here. I don't want to read all of them off. There's quite a bit. But this is something that I think anybody who is looking forward to PSVR 2 is actually feeling very good about, because we just heard Sony at CES 2023 confirm a launch window lineup of 30 games, but now there's even more with them, as it says here, just straight up announcing like 13 more games. So all in all, I will say that the offering here when it comes to the different types of games, the amount of games, it's looking very good for PSVR 2. I don't necessarily know how many people are just going to suddenly turn around and decide, you know what, I'm going to have to get PSVR2 now because look at this launch window lineup. But there is one thing in particular that I also want to highlight with this that I think may actually win quite a few PS5 owners over who are maybe on the fence about this. So one of the things that was announced at CES 2023 by Sony was Gran Turismo 7 for PlayStation VR2, letting us know it will be there at the launch, and anybody who purchased the game will be entitled to a free upgrade if they also get VR2. Now, the big question here is whether or not this is the full game of Gran Turismo 7 or something much smaller, something that's just kind of like a section of the game. And so it was confirmed that this is the full game that we're going to be getting. It says here from Push Square, as part of a PlayStation blog post further detailing the PSVR2 launch lineup, Sony has now confirmed the free upgrade for GT7 will allow you to play the full game in virtual reality. The only feature you won't be able to access while using PSVR2 is the 2-player split screen option, which makes sense. Besides that, players will experience all cars and tracks in VR like never before, and this includes online races as well. Now, I had to be sure to highlight this because this is a big deal, I think, for a lot of PlayStation fans, right? There's a big difference between, you know, a game like GT7 and the entirety of it being playable on PSVR2 versus just something that's kind of like, oh, here's like a track or two you can do. This is pretty big, and I can tell that there is a significant amount of hype for this. So, in my opinion, even as somebody who's not a huge fan of Gran Turismo, like it's just not a game I really play, even I can recognize that this is kind of a big deal. And I will say, as somebody who doesn't really play Gran Turismo, this is very interesting to me. You know, I'm hoping to pick up PSVR2 at some point, and when I do, I gotta say, like, I'm kind of glad I waited because this is the way I would want to experience GT7. It's just the perfect game for VR, in my opinion. So let me know your thoughts on that. Next up, we are talking about Forspoken, and unfortunately, it's not looking too good for this game. There are a bunch of leaks coming out of just gameplay footage, and it's getting hammered pretty hard online, unfortunately. This is reading from PlayStation Lifestyle, where it says the first hour of Forspoken gameplay has leaked thanks to some retailers breaking street date and handing out copies early. But that's probably the least of Square Enix's concerns right now, considering that the game's dialogue continues to be a cause for concern among fans. Early impressions also echo some of the most commonly voiced criticisms. We're not going to share any leaked gameplay here for obvious reasons, but it is out there for anybody who wants to check it out. The general consensus among those who have been playing Forspoken is that the game's combat, parkour, and magic portions are fun, but the open world doesn't stand out in any way. Some say that Forspoken's presentation is hit and miss, with some mediocre facial and character animations. Forspoken's dialogue has been a focal point of discourse surrounding the game ever since its reveal. For its part, Square Enix has given players the ability to tone down the chatter, but that in and of itself isn't a great sign. And yeah, you know, I had to just mention this because, you know, it's one of these things where I kind of am not that surprised. I kind of got the vibe from this game a while ago that just something about it is going to feel somewhat cringe, you know, just something's going to feel kind of off, and it's going to, you know, I've seen a lot of people give some harsh words for the protagonist here and the dialogue and the writing, and you know, I'm not necessarily going to go into all that, but apparently those who have gotten their hands on the game earlier saying, yeah, you know, it's kind of everything we've been hearing about the game so far in terms of like, you're either going to love it or you're just not going to be able to stand it, seems to kind of be true. But we have some more concerning news here regarding Forspoken, and that is the fact that apparently Square Enix is not giving out review codes to some major outlets and some prominent reviewers. The two that I came across that were particularly strange is SkillUp, which I'm sure many of you are familiar with him. He's one of the biggest reviewers, I believe, on YouTube. And he said that he's not getting a code for whatever reason. And then on top of that, we have Andy Robinson from VGC, which is another pretty prominent outlet where, you know, he's coming out and saying that they're not going to be publishing a Forspoken review on Monday because Square Enix has decided not to supply them with the code. basically pointing out that this is a extremely rare occurrence. And, you know, we can read into this how we like. And, you know, I'm going to be real with you guys right now. I think it's kind of obvious what's happening here. It's not a good sign. You know, it's not a good sign. It's not that reviews are the be-all, end-all, right? But this is quite literally the opposite of what we see with a lot of like Sony's first-party games, where they're giving out review codes like, you know, weeks and weeks in advance and allowing the reviews to be published a week in advance, because it shows extreme confidence in what they have, to whereas this screams lack of confidence. And you know, now that the game's leaking and you're beginning to get like some firsthand, you know, reporting on people who are experiencing it, I'm thinking that Forspoken might not review that well. I think Square Enix is maybe aware of this, and they're maybe trying to mitigate the potential damage that can be done, and trying to ensure that, you know, a bunch of pre-orders aren't ending up getting canceled. So you guys let me know what you think of that. I'll be interested to see what you have to say. We're moving on to the final topic here, which to me is very exciting. This is a tease coming from Bluepoint. Now, I'm going to let you know right up front, they're not revealing anything major. And I know some people might look at this as like, oh, well, this isn't really anything of significance. But I just want to point out that Bluepoint Games is like completely silent. They never say anything, like, ever. So just even hearing this from them gets me excited, and it makes me hopeful that we're going to be hearing from them at the very least this year. So I came across this on Gaming Bolt, and they say that Bluepoint Games has been quiet about its next project after joining PlayStation Studios in 2021. While it seemingly teased a new game in its holiday greeting card, nothing was ever revealed. Nevertheless, the Demon's Souls remake developer is working hard on it. Peter Dalton, Bluepoint's head of technology, revealed this after the recent layoffs at Microsoft. Quote, "We are hard at work on our next project and have several openings. Personally, very interested in all rendering programmers out there. If interested, we would love to hear from you," end quote. Regarding when it would reveal its next project, Dalton replied, quote, "When the time is right, all good things take time," end quote. The article continues by saying, of course, there have been several rumors surrounding the same. In 2021, it was reported that it's working on several Metal Gear Solid remakes. Later that year, insider Millier revealed that the developer had 2 projects in the works: an original title, smaller in size, similar to something like Miles Morales, and a remake of a beloved game. Neither is related to Metal Gear Solid, so take that as you will. There's also the rumor of a Bloodborne remaster for PS5, as corroborated by Xbox Era's Nick Baker in 2021. And so basically this article is just kind of recapping all of the rumors we've heard regarding what Bluepoint Games is working on the past couple of years or so. And, you know, considering we have been talking a lot here on the channel about Metal Gear Solid making some type of comeback in some capacity, I figured, you know, this would be worth pointing out as well. I'm going to be honest, I don't necessarily know that I'm confident that Bluepoint Games is working on Metal Gear. What I am confident in, though, is saying that whatever it is they're doing, I have no doubt it's going to be amazing. And the most interesting thing to me about Bluepoint Games, and really the reason why I just can't help but express my excitement even just hearing them, you know, come out and say this, is the fact that they made it clear they are working on original content. Now, not a new IP, but it sounds to me like they were given something, a franchise that already exists, a series, and basically they are being asked to continue it in some way. Who knows what that is? Who knows if that's Metal Gear? Who knows if that's Bloodborne? Who knows if it's something else entirely? But there you go. I wanted to just give you guys this small update on Bluepoint Games. This is the latest we're hearing from them. And at this point, I want you to let me know what you think specifically when they said, "We'll reveal our game when the time is right. All good things take time." Does this make you a little bit nervous that maybe we're not actually going to hear from Bluepoint Games this year? Or do you think that they're just trying to not give anything away and just, you know, kind of maintaining that mystery that clearly surrounds their studio and what they might be working on? Let me know down in the comments below. That does it for the video though, guys. I hope you did enjoy it. I hope you did find it informative. Leave it a like if you did. Subscribe if you're new. Hit the bell notification icon and feel free to share the video out on top of all that. But until next time, guys, take care.